Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another installment of Scott's Selections here for Wednesday, August 7th. Before we get into the play of the day, we'll quickly recap what happened yesterday. We picked up a very nice and easy winner with the New York Mets scoring first, which was available at minus 125. Simply put, they scored a run in the first inning. Wheeler was fantastic, gave up no runs the entire game, and we ended up picking up our second straight winner. Mets score first. It seemed to be a pretty solid prop over the last week or so, as the Mets once again today scored in the first inning, which means that the Mets have scored in the first inning in 7 straight games. Something to just keep in mind moving forward. I don't know how sustainable that trend is. I know that it's because they also played the Pirates and the Marlins. But at the same point, if your team is scoring that early into games on a consistent basis, there's definitely a lot of value found on that specific team. In terms of the tennis play, yes, Schwartzman's match finally got underway. And Schwartzman ended up failing to cover the 4.5 as he ended up winning in straight sets. It's kind of amazing how the person he ended up playing against, Cecchinato, was 0-6 in his last 6 hardcourt matches. Schwartzman just won a tournament, and yet somehow Schwartzman was unable to break him in the first 2 sets of the match. Don't really know how that happened, but either or, he ended up winning the match in 3, and that was a loss. So the Mets score first ended up basically canceling out. We lost about 0.2 units in that trade-off. But either or, it was nice to bounce back, and we'll look for a third straight winner today in this one. In terms of the play of the day, I actually missed a couple of games that I was looking into earlier with the Braves and the Mets score first this morning. But since I missed those, the play of the day we will be going with will be in a matchup between the San Diego Padres and the Seattle Mariners. And that game will be taking place at roughly 6:40 p.m. Eastern Time. And in terms of that matchup, we like the over 9.5, which is available at plus 101 at Pinnacle. And that will be the line that we are using for this game. In terms of the pitching matchup, you have Lucchesi versus Kikuchi. And both pitchers have been pretty underwhelming lately, to say the least. If you look at their stats since the All-Star break, both pitchers have been pretty much abysmal. Kikuchi, since the All-Star break, has an 0-2 record with an 8.24 ERA, or at the same point, Lucchesi, since the All-Star break, has an 0-2 record with a 5.57 ERA. To make matters worse, Lucchesi so far this season is 1-4 with a 6.46 ERA on the road, whereas Kikuchi is 2-5 with a 5.43 ERA at home. Both pitchers have definitely been underwhelming, plus both the lineups have actually looked pretty good. Anytime you have almost a no-hitter in a game through 7 innings or so, and yet the game still totals 13 runs, definitely a sign that both bullpens are also not a team not worth backing, to say the least. San Diego is the 19th best ERA in the league, or the 11th worst, so to speak, with a 4.63 ERA from the bullpen, where Seattle is 5th to worst, or should I say 6th to worst, at 25th overall at a 5.02 ERA on the road, plus ERA from the bullpen. Plus, it's worth mentioning that the weather itself will be supporting the over slightly. There's supposed to be roughly 4 mile per hour to 5 mile per hour winds blowing out to right center field. So that could potentially lead to a couple of more home runs. How's it going, Terry? Thanks for joining us. So in terms of this game, the total's already been bet up from 9 to 9.5. However, it was bet up recently. There was heavy juice to the 9. It eventually took over to 9.5 and is still available at Pinnacle at plus 101. It is at minus 105 at most spots, but I think at plus 101 that is definitely worth taking, as both bullpens haven't been great, both starters have been great lately, and both the lineups did hit the ball pretty well yesterday. I know the Padres scored 9 runs. They ended up having 13 runs overall. Simply put, I think both starters will struggle. I do like Lucchesi as a pitcher, but he's been significantly better at home than he has been on the road this season. Kikuchi has definitely struggled in his transition over to America after he dominated in Japan for a couple of years. But am I thrilled with the Mariners lineup? Not really. But at the same point, they've been one of the best over teams in baseball throughout the entire season. They still have some power with Vogelbach and Seager, and even Murphy's been decent, and Santana's been pretty good. Do I love their lineup? No, but I think it's good enough to get at least 4 or 5 runs. And San Diego, I still love their lineup, even though this team is underachieved. You still have Tatis, you still have Machado. Renfroe is like 28 home runs or so. Hosmer's been very good. Myers has been pretty solid. Overall, I think that both teams should be able to score at least 5 runs in this game, and I think it should go over. Plus, the Padres get the benefit of not having to use a pitcher at the plate, as it will be in Seattle, so you will have a DH. So Seattle and San Diego can throw in another quality bat into their lineup, which wouldn't be available if they were playing at Petco Park. Jamal, if you like the Padres' first 5, you could take that. I would warn you, though, because of the fact that Lucchesi has been so bad on the road, but the Mariners stink. Regardless of whether it's at home or not, the Mariners are 26-33 at home this season, and their bullpen's still terrible. Their pitching is not great. Their offense is definitely worse than the Padres in terms of lineup quality. I definitely think you're onto something there with the first 5. I'm just a little bit concerned with Lucchesi's tendency to explode on the road. So for that reason, I will be giving out the 9.5 as the play of the day, and we like the over, which is available at plus 101 at Pinnacle. And I'd recommend taking that sooner rather than later, as it was already bet up from 9 to 9.5. I think that you should see pretty much every line close at roughly minus 105 to minus 110 on the over. So I think at plus 101, there definitely is a lot of value there, and that will be the reason why I'm giving that out as play of the day. Also to mention, in terms of the leans, pretty solid over the last 2 days. We ended up sweeping the board 2 days ago. 2 days ago. Yesterday we went 2-1, as we were right on the Nationals money line, which came in at roughly plus 120. We were also right on, I'm trying to remember what we had. I know we ended up going 2-1. I just got to remember what we had here. Oh, yeah, the Dodgers first 5 under 4.5. That ended up winning. And we also, what else did we have? Yeah, we ended up losing on the Brewers over in that one, but we ended up going 2-1 with a plus 120 underdog cashing. So it was a pretty good day for the leans. In terms of the leans today, unfortunately, the main games that I actually liked were already underway. I was going to make this video earlier, but I ended up getting wrapped up in some errands. I did like the Mets score first. I did like the Astros over, but overall, and I like the Braves also. But all 3 of those look pretty good. Those already happened, so that's not really relevant. In terms of my thoughts for the games tonight, I'd have to give a small lean to the Yankees and Orioles over. I know Means has been pitching well during the season, as he was an all-star, and I know that Paxton's coming in off a solid start against the Red Sox. However, based on how these two teams have played and based on Camden Yards, and based on the fact that the wind is going to be blowing at roughly 7 miles an hour to right field, I have to lean to the over 9.5. Simply put, when these teams get together, you see a ton of runs. Orioles have no bullpen. The Yankees' bullpen is not great, especially around the long relief area. Paxton's been okay lately. Means is coming in off the IL, so you have to wonder how he will perform in his first start in about 10 days, give or take. And both lineups have been solid in this series. The Yankees lineup, of course, has been tearing the cover off the baseball with 6 home runs yesterday. I lean to the over 9.5. I know that money's come in on the under. I don't really care. In terms of the matchup itself, I definitely think there's only one way to look at this, and it is with the over. So that will be my first lean of the day. My second lean, in terms of the actual matchup itself, this might sound a little bit bold. I like no score first inning in the Diamondbacks and Phillies game. And I know that price is actually pretty solid. That should be coming in at roughly plus 105 to plus 110, depending on where you shop around. Simply put, Vargas actually pitched pretty well this season. I know his stuff isn't dynamic whatsoever, but at the same point, he has been a pretty solid pitcher, and he's definitely held his own so far this season. If you look at no score first inning, it is at plus 105 at 5 times. Meanwhile, Gallen has also been pretty serviceable so far this season, and I definitely think that he should pitch well in Arizona. This is his first start with the team, as he was with the Marlins for the early part of the season before getting traded. However, if you actually look at his numbers, they're actually not bad. His ERA on the road is 1.86 in 19-plus innings of work, and I definitely think that he is capable of stopping the Phillies from scoring in at least the first inning. Each of his last 5 starts, he's gone – each of his last 5 appearances, I should say, 4 of them being starts, he has gone at least 5 innings, and he has given up 2 runs or less. So I definitely think there is value there on the no-score first inning at plus 105. And in terms of the last lean of the day, I will lean to the Rangers getting the job done against the Indians. That game's taking place at 4:40. Indians have still not announced who will be starting, but the Rangers will be using Lance Lynn, who has had a pretty solid renaissance year. And the Rangers, if you haven't noticed, they fell apart over the last couple of weeks in order to take themselves out of playoff contention. However, the law of averages, they ended up just absolutely blowing the doors off and they have been unbelievable lately. They're currently in the middle of game 1 of a doubleheader in that one, which is at 0-0. But the Rangers, if you have looked at their performance lately, I know they've been bad on the road, but the Rangers have actually won each of their last 5 games, and I definitely think that they should have a decent edge with Lynn pitching, especially since the Indians don't know who's going to be pitching game 2. That makes me believe they're going to use a bullpen game. And for me, I will lean to Lance Lynn on that one. So the play of the day will be on the over 9.5 between the Padres and the Marlins, with the leans being on the Yankees game over the no-score first inning in the Phillies game, and the Rangers on the money line, which is available at roughly, let me just pull up the line, at roughly plus 104, give or take, depending on where you shop. I'll actually try to find the best line available for you right now. In terms of the Rangers money line, the best line available is at plus 103 on 5 dimes, as a lot of books do not have the lineup yet because nobody knows who's pitching for the Indians. But before we conclude today's video, quick reminder of our sponsor, PointsBet, all in sportsbook in New Jersey. Great deal for you, up to 2 risk-free bets up to $1,000. So if you end up betting on sports and lose, you get your money back. That's definitely a great promo that I wish more sportsbooks would use. Play of the day, once again, is on the Padres Mariners over 9.5, and we're going to be taking plus 101 at Pinnacle. Other than that, though, that's going to do it for this installment of Scott's Selections here for Wednesday, August 7th. And good luck to all of you and your respective bets today. Bye, everyone.